John, 30 points, 35 points down to a 30-point win. Obviously, it's probably not how you would have scripted the match to go, but you must be pretty pleased with the ability to turn around that performance.
Yeah, we've still got a bit of work to do on our starts, probably for the last month. We're aware of it a little bit. And tonight, tonight we certainly got exposed in that part of the game for that first quarter. And so we've still got a bit of work to do there. It, really from the second quarter onwards, I think we got beaten in contested ball or around the footy a fair bit in the air that first quarter. And then the second quarter we turned that right around and really strong in all those areas as the game went on. And so that was really good to be able to turn that around. We can still get off to a better start. But the way we worked from quarter time onwards was really strong.
Have you noticed anything in particular about those starts? Like you mentioned, I think the Carlton game was a slower start here, obviously today. The Dogs game obviously to a lesser extent, but is there anything you're noticing in those first quarters? Oh,
it's a combination of a few things. It's always a combination of a few things, but we'll have to get it better for next week. We go to Adelaide next week and have to get that better. We tried to, I need to do a bit better probably as a coach during the week and try and sharpen that up and make sure we're really sharp on what we need to do.
How much of an impact do you reckon the bye has in terms of the slow start?
Oh, we're a little bit before the bye for about a month. We weren't jumping out of the blocks for the first 15, so we can get better at that. It was a 16, 17-day turnaround, which is unusual, but you still got to be better. We had a good training block in that period, and so we trained really well. So I'm conscious of that. We tried to mitigate it as much as we can during the break, and the boys trained really well. So there's a few other things we can get on top of.
There's much to be said about the slow start, but they had another little push in that final quarter. Is one thing that's been consistent for you guys all year is just being able to sort of stand that push in the final quarter and then go on with it. I mean, how impressive is that? Yeah,
that was good. I mean, they did come at us in that last quarter, and to their credit, they're a good team. They missed a couple through injury, but they're a good team. The good teams start well, and then as you say, they came back in that last quarter. And some of their experienced players, Cameron kicked a couple, and Duncan, and these guys that are really good players, have been for such a long time, really helped that for them. And so to be able to steady, as you say, and then win some contests and get the game back on our terms was, with about 8 minutes to go, was credit to our guys. It was good to see. Then kick away again.
Some of those other little, plays during the game, less so getting the ball, but there were a lot of different smothers, a lot of different spoilers in the D50. I mean, those are the sorts of things that internally, you guys really pride yourselves on. So I guess how impressive was it to see those in that second quarter when you guys really started to turn that tide?
Yeah, and they're often the things that get you back. It's sort of you focus on that type of you focus on that. I thought maybe our ball use a little bit. We weren't sort of using the ball as well as what we could have, but it's always on the back of you're going to earn the right. And when you get that pressure and persistence around the contest, that's a really good sign to help changing the momentum. And that's something anyone can do. You can just get your defensive stuff right. And Errol played a good game, for instance, but in the third quarter, just the amount of times he just saved us a few times defensively. It's just great to see. They're the things that we look at and blow up in lights.
Joel Marty seemed to be important when you were hanging in there early on, a couple of chances, didn't quite get them, but once he went through for that opener, he sort of went on from there. Yeah,
he played pretty well in front of the ball, and they were really structured, well-oiled defence. That's been one of their strengths for years. They're very good behind the ball, and so when you get that opportunity to make a big contest, you've got to take that opportunity, and he did that. And the longer the game went, I thought he was even better. There was a big contest in the last quarter. He was outnumbered and up in the wing and just launched at it and created a spillage, and we were able to go from there. And he was important in the air. Just a couple of times had a big man presence, and so important forward of the ball when you're playing against good intercept marking teams that when you have the opportunity to go and launch at it, you do, and you make a real impact. And he was able to do that.
Yeah, he seems to be looking a lot more comfortable too now that he's had that, a big stretch of games after having those injuries throughout.
Yeah, I hope so. And they're still finding their feet, but generally going pretty good.
Have you noticed with any of the data whether Tommy Papley runs quicker after the goal celebration or
Oh, well, it's your gut feel, isn't it? It's sort of, his high-speed running certainly lifts a cog. So that's a bit of it's a good point. It's what your eyes tell you. It's hard to break it down on the GPS, but he was good today. I think he's been solid, perhaps, and I had a chat with him during the week, and he's done some real team stuff. If you look at some of the team-orientated focused acts he's done the first half of the year, it's been really strong. And so if they share it around, it eventually comes your way, especially if you're focused on that, and that's what he's been really good at. He's led that forward line really well. They're pretty young, and he's done a really good job to be able to focus on the team, and he was rewarded with some goals, but that tends to be how things work.
Was he a bit too focused on the team when he passed that?
Yeah, to Justin? Maybe, but
he just slotted one from pretty much the same spot.
Yeah, it was. At the time, I thought he could have just, or even taken a deep breath, taken another 30 and had a shot. But it's hard to knock someone who's having a go, trying to bring a teammate into the game. You can't knock him for that. Good on him. I think that's been a real focus of his, and I think he's doing a really good job of. If they overdo that part, well, we'll take that.
Are you noticing the confidence that the players have? Like Chad Warner in that second quarter, for example, he sort of skies it, he kind of misses it. 30 seconds later, he has another go from outside 50 and absolutely slots it home. Like these players are riding high in confidence at the moment.
Yeah, which is good to see. I thought with him there was an important point, even in the third quarter, where I thought we played pretty well. We got 2 goals scored on us on turnover, but one of them was when he went back and took a real sky ball 30 metres out from goal. He just ran backwards and took a really hard mark, and I think it was touch, and they called play on. They got a goal out of it. I think we talked about it at the time. Was there's not much you can do about that. That's intent. His intent was fantastic, and so on the back of that, eventually, if you keep working, things work out your way.
We had the holding the ball rule changed a bit. How did you think that was adjudicated today?
I probably need to sort of go back and have a look at it again. It's obviously a significant change, and so I think we're all trying to get used to it, coaches and players. We're not going to get it perfect, umpires. We're not going to get it perfect all the time. I'll probably reserve my judgment until I sort of see it a bit more after a couple of weeks and watch the replay. Sometimes after a game you don't have all the facts, even though it doesn't. Yeah.
Brady's another one, I guess, who helped turn the sort of
Yeah.
today in that really doing his first use in that centre. He just continues to sort of build this season. I guess what do you make of tonight's performance?
Yeah, he. Just looking at his contest, it was like 20-odd contested possessions, and he was a large part of helping us change the momentum. And they were good early, clearly around the footy, and they were able to win a lot of that scramble, and particularly the second phase scramble. Sometimes a scramble can be first phase, and then there's a second and a third phase in it. And he was able to be really active in that part of the game. He was able to be active in the second and third phase, either contest or pressure. And I think that was, he and Rowie and those guys in that aspect started to really play well.
So, John, you've put it all around. John, you've had your best start since 1918. But do you feel like you're coaching the best team in the century?
You say that with a smile on your face, Mel. That's a wind-up, Mel, isn't it? You're just throwing that out there, and you know what my reaction's going to be. Yeah, just outside off stump. I'll just let that sail through the keeper, Mel.
No, you can't do that.
No.
What are you going to play it?
Okay, got to have a swing. We know what my swing will be. I'll just duck under it. But no, I just when you can't flirt with when you're playing well. You just got to keep going. And we saw what happened in the first quarter against a good team when you just take the pressure off a little bit, and we've seen that a little bit with us. That's the areas we can get better at, and just shows you they put a lot of goals. Well, they 6 goals in front pretty quickly, and so we can't afford to. Any team can't afford to just sort of take the pressure off a little bit. You've got to be at your max the whole time, and we don't want to be just one that relies upon talent. You need to be working hard. You need to put pressure on, and the good thing is that when we're working hard and we put pressure on, our talent then is able to come through. It doesn't work the other way around. So we're still working through that, and we've been pleased obviously with how we're going, and I think that the players, to their credit, are applying themselves really well, really hard, and I saw that with the training block over the bye. It was really at a high level. They're pushing themselves really hard. So we just take that approach. We have a 6-day break this week. We go to Adelaide, and our challenge is to go again, and that's what we just have to keep doing. We just have to keep wanting to improve every day we walk in the building.
With Blakey subbed out of the game, is that just a chance to give him a break with a few heavy knocks?
No, he had a bad corky, I think, on the back of his leg, and so that was primarily the reason why we stopped. He had a bit of a soreness at the front too, so we just sort of said, we were in the stage where there's probably about 10 minutes to go. There's no point sort of pushing him any harder than that.
I've been lucky enough to kind of ask you every time we're here so far this year about the crowd, but third highest one, 101 crowd in SCG history. I mean, what lifted that to your team when they start celebrating those goals on the back of guys like Appley?
Well, it happened earlier, and it's not just the goals. And Leon Cameron actually mentioned it to me just before I came in here. It was the crowd in the halfway through the second was starting to really go, and it wasn't the scoreboard wasn't looking great at that point, and the crowd sort of really worked. It's been sort of great to see this year where the crowd gets so invested behind the team, and they got going halfway through the third. And if you just look at the scoreboard, I looked at it and thought, well, we've got a fair bit of work to do, but the crowd got going. It was enormous, and the players really appreciate it. They just so appreciative of our big crowds. They're turning up in droves. They're loud. They're really invested. It's it's been I want to thank them all the time. I know I do it most games now, but it's just been awesome.
John, it's actually our third highest home and away crowd ever at the SCG.
Is that with the standing room and that included, is it?
That's just coming down.
Okay, cool. Great stuff.
Be remiss not to mention.
Last one, guys.
No, not to mention Lewis Melican. He had some incredible moments tonight. He's putting together one hell of a season.
Yeah, and the good thing is that he was under the pressure early in the game. The ball was coming in, and boys are a little bit, oh, geez, what happened there? And I thought he and Tommy were pretty good. Lizard, Harry Cunningham, that crew, Ramps, those boys, I thought after, first quarter was coming in, they were scoring really, really quickly and easily. And then we were able to go, right, okay, we got ourselves back in the game. And those guys, the longer the game went, the better they played. Right.